All right, today we are diving deep, and I mean really deep, into a pretty high-stakes, hyper-specific market.
Hmm.
We're talking Jamaican real estate
Yeah.
right now, 2025, and what's coming in 2026.
And if you're trying to understand how credibility, how trust is built in any kind of crisis-prone, digitally savvy environment,
Yeah.
this is it.
This is your deep dive. Because our source material for today, a really critical analysis from Jamaica Homes, it makes a bold claim.
It's a huge claim. It basically says that the traditional content playbook,
Yeah.
it's dead,
Not just fading.
finished. The idea of writing long blog posts and just waiting for Google to send you traffic, it's over.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack this collision of, three colossal forces.
Three of them. You've got the rise of AI, the centralization of digital authority, and then this absolute priority reset that happens after severe weather.
And together, they have fundamentally changed how Jamaican buyers find property information and, more importantly, who they trust.
We're looking for the new playbook. What do you do when the old SEO rules just don't work anymore?
Right, and we're going beyond just the what. We're getting into the why. Why are those 1,500-word articles suddenly worthless?
And, crucially, what's actually working on the ground. The source lays out 4 strategies that are building real, authentic local trust right now.
Okay, let's start with the most, I think, visceral driver of this change. It really sets the emotional stage.
Yeah, this wasn't a slow digital shift.
No.
It was an acceleration, a sudden one driven by the real-world, immediate needs of people who've just lived through a major hurricane.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how a disaster just transforms what people are looking for? It goes from casual curiosity to...
Survival-level inquiry,
Yeah.
high stakes. A hurricane in Jamaica, it doesn't just knock out the power for a few days, it fundamentally reshapes what matters to you as a home buyer.
The entire hierarchy of needs gets flipped on its head.
It does. The stakes jump from where can I get the best view, to will this actual structure withstand the next storm?
And because of that intense, immediate need for reliable data, the kind of content that used to do really well is now just... it's noise.
It's worse than noise, it's irrelevant.
The analysis highlights that buyers just aren't interested in those, generic articles anymore. Things like top 5 places to buy land.
Or, is real estate still a good investment? I mean, those questions assume a level of stability that your audience simply doesn't feel anymore.
That's a great point. The whole information demand just shifts. It becomes about proof, accountability.
Exactly. The new questions are, they're clinical, they're immediate,
Yeah.
and they require this intense, hyper-local knowledge.
So buyers are asking what?
They're demanding to know, is the foundation of this specific house structurally sound? How high did the water actually get on this particular street?
Wow.
Yeah. And how did the area respond?
Yeah.
What specific construction materials survived the wind? And maybe more importantly, which ones didn't? Which developments were actually prepared?
So you're moving from abstract marketing to documented reality. A buyer isn't going to trust an agent because they rank #1 on Google.
No way.
They're going to trust the agent who can literally show them the flood line on the neighbor's wall.
Precisely. And that type of granular, reliable trust it's structurally incompatible with the old content model.
How so?
Well, a traditional static blog post can claim resilience. But in a crisis environment, your audience demands proof, visual proof. They want to see that you, the agent or the developer, actually showed up, that you documented what happened, and that you're transparent about what failed and what succeeded.
That's a fundamentally different content goal.
It's a completely different universe.
So you have this post-hurricane mindset that's demanding visual proof. But even without the storms, there are these massive digital forces that were already killing the old playbook. Let's get into the first 2 of those. The technological gatekeepers that are just systematically taking apart the traditional blog.
Okay, so reality #1. This is something everyone is feeling globally, but it has a specific, almost devastating effect on a niche market like Jamaica.
And that is?
Artificial intelligence has absorbed all the generic advice.
Okay, let's ground that for everyone listening. What kind of generic content is now, functionally dead?
Well, our source argues that search engines just don't need a local Jamaican blog to cover the basics anymore.
For example?
For example, AI can instantly explain the difference between a freehold title and strata ownership.
Right, which, for anyone less familiar, strata is basically the local term for, a condominium. Shared title, common areas managed jointly.
Exactly. And AI delivers all the basic rules, the requirements, the definitions for that, instantly, at the very top of the page.
So, if your Jamaican real estate blog's top ranking article for years was, "What is strata ownership?" Or maybe "How to apply for a mortgage in Kingston."
That traffic is gone,
Just gone.
vanished, because the user gets their answer in an AI summary box and they never ever click through to your site. The search engine cannibalizes the query.
So, if your content is foundational, repeatable advice, you're now competing directly with a free instant encyclopedia.
Provided by the search engine
Yeah.
itself. And, for the definition of a mortgage, you don't really need local nuance.
Yeah.
And that just kills the top of the sales funnel for individual blogs.
But wait, isn't there still room for, deep analysis? If I'm buying a multi-million-dollar property, I still want a 3,000-word deep dive on local tax law.
You absolutely do. But that brings us to reality number 2,
The centralization of authority.
which our source calls the distribution issue. Even if you write that amazing, deep, technical content, it has trouble reaching you.
Because search results aren't democratic anymore.
Not at all. Let's talk about what that centralization looks like in a small market.
Okay.
It looks like volume beating nuance. A very small number of huge platforms dominate visibility, especially in these high-stakes areas like property, finance, law, investment.
And in Jamaica, this is amplified.
Massively amplified. The market's small, search volume is limited, and Google's algorithm heavily prioritizes what it sees as generic, international trust signals over actual local expertise.
Hold on, talk more about generic trust signals. Are you saying Google would rather trust a massive international property site that's in 50 countries over a local Jamaican expert who's been on the ground for 20 years?
In short, yes. That's exactly what's happening. Google's algorithms are looking for things like high domain authority, massive content volume, the age of the site, broad coverage.
And a huge international site just ticks all those boxes.
It registers all those features as universal trust signals. So your local Jamaican blog, no matter how well researched or accurate it is, gets buried. Immediately.
Buried under what?
Under these behemoths, under generic international comparison sites, and now under those AI summaries we just talked about.
The consequence is brutal. You can write the single best, most accurate article on Kingston property law, but if the distribution channels are blocked by these giant gatekeepers, your content is effectively invisible.
You're shouting into a hurricane of information that the algorithms are literally designed to filter you out of.
And this visibility problem, it leads us directly to the third massive shift, which is all about audience behavior. The critical point here is that Jamaicans are watching, not reading, especially when it's about credibility and proof in real estate.
And that post-storm context just amplifies this behavior tenfold.
Yeah.
People need visual proof, and they need it immediately.
They need to see it.
They need to see the streets they drive on, the exact damage, the repairs being done, the flood lines. They need those specific before and after comparisons. Text describing resilience just feels abstract.
Whereas a video that documents it is tangible, it's actionable, it's immediate.
It taps into a really deep psychological need. After a high-stress event like a hurricane, nobody wants to read 5 paragraphs describing the structural integrity of a seawall.
No, they want a 30-second drone clip of the seawall being tested by the waves.
That's absolutely right. And the source provides a metric on this that is genuinely shocking. It really illustrates how devalued long-form text has become.
What's the metric?
They calculate that a single 30-second video clip showing hurricane-prepared construction, showing the materials, the process, the reality of it,
Right.
it does more to build trust than 1,500 carefully written words ever could.
A 30-second clip versus 1,500 words. That's a terrifying metric for anyone whose business was built on long-form content.
It is. It represents a fundamental change in the currency of trust.
The medium is now directly tied to the credibility.
Inextricably. Look, long-form reading hasn't vanished. A serious buyer, someone deep in the funnel, they still need that detailed information. But the blog has lost its status as the starting point.
The trust journey doesn't start with an article anymore.
No. Trust is now built visually on platforms designed for immediate, high-proof content, and usually in a short-form format.
So if the search engine is blocked by AI and these giant platforms, and your audience has shifted its attention to video, the old blogging model offers neither discovery nor credibility.
The playbook is officially burnt.
Okay, so the problem is crystal clear. You're invisible, and your old medium lacks credibility. What's the path forward?
Right.
Our source outlines 4 essential, actionable strategies for any real estate content creator in Jamaica trying to be effective in 2025.
And strategy 1 requires a fundamental shift in how you allocate your resources.
Which is?
Video must be the primary asset. It is no longer an optional add-on. It's not a repurposed summary of your blog post. It's the core.
So we're not just talking about shaky phone videos. This means dedicated professional investment in video production.
To a degree, yes. What works is dedicated videos for walkthroughs, site visits, construction progress updates, and this is crucial, transparent storm impact reports.
But it's also about humanizing the expertise, right?
Absolutely. Plain-spoken, on-camera explanations, where the expert, the agent, is visible and accountable. That's key. The text content now exists purely to support the video.
So video is the storefront.
And text is the reference manual in the back.
Which leads directly into strategy 2, which really flows from that post-hurricane environment. Documentation, not marketing.
Yes. People have zero tolerance for polished, glossy sales language right now.
You can see right through it.
The source is clear. Transparency is the new premium. The focus has to be on documenting reality, even if that reality includes setbacks.
So what resonates is content that says, this is what happened here.
Exactly. Or, this particular material failed, and here's why, and this is how we're rebuilding it differently.
But hold on a second. From a pure business perspective, isn't admitting failure or showing damage? Isn't that counterintuitive? Doesn't it hurt your brand?
It actually reverses the whole concept of branding. In this new high-stakes environment, honesty generates credibility far faster than the illusion of perfection ever could.
Okay.
If you document the process, the failures, and the fixes, you're showing resilience. You're showing expertise under pressure.
Yeah.
That transparency builds a level of trust that no amount of slick copywriting can even touch.
You're building trust on documented facts, not on promises.
Exactly. And that shift informs strategy 3, which is probably the most radical break from the old SEO model.
Which is local presence over search rankings, the idea that recognition beats reach.
This is so critical. If Google isn't driving discovery anymore, where are people finding the trusted voices?
Where?
They're finding them in these decentralized, community-driven channels. High-volume WhatsApp groups, targeted Instagram clips, YouTube shorts, and those hyper-local Facebook community pages.
So the traffic might be smaller in number.
But the trust, and therefore the conversion rate, is exponentially higher.
The goal then shifts from trying to get a huge international audience to finding a very specific local audience that's already thinking about buying.
Precisely. Your content doesn't need to rank on page 1 of Google. It needs to be the clip that gets immediately shared in the Portmore property owners WhatsApp group.
The audience's question is no longer who ranks first on Google.
No, the question becomes intensely local, intensely personal. It's who talks sense? Which agent did my cousin just use and recommend? And most powerfully, who actually showed up after the storm with verifiable info and repair guides?
It's a network effect, not an algorithm effect.
That's the perfect way to put it. The creator, who is recognized locally for being present and transparent, will beat the distant SEO expert every single time.
Which brings us to the last strategy, number 4, which addresses the blogs themselves. Blogs still matter, but only as infrastructure.
Right, so we're not throwing the baby out with the floodwater. But their function is completely changed.
They're not for discovery anymore.
No, they are the anchor. They're the professional back office. Their new role is very specific and very deep funnel.
So what do they do?
They exist to house the transcripts of your videos, to provide that necessary legal clarity, to offer detailed technical specs for the really serious buyers, and to act as the high authority reference point for a conversation that already started on Instagram or WhatsApp.
So the blog is like a documentation vault, or a sophisticated FAQ section for someone who's already been convinced by your video and now needs to do their due diligence.
Precisely. You find the personality and the proof on YouTube. Then you go to the blog to verify the details, read the fine print, check the building code references, and confirm that the person you saw on camera is a serious, documented professional.
The traffic is way smaller, but the intent
Is 100% focused on closing the deal.
This is just, it's a monumental shift.
Yeah.
The analysis we've been looking at shows that traditional blogging has definitively lost its central role in the Jamaican market.
It really has. It was killed by the twin forces of AI and platform centralization.
And then buried by the immediate demands of post-hurricane survival.
Success in this environment is now entirely dependent on visibility, verifiable proof, and a real local presence across these decentralized platforms.
And those who are still clinging to the old ways.
They're investing heavily in a game that has already been won by the gatekeepers.
So for anyone out there creating content, especially in these high-trust, high-risk sectors, This source provides the new essential benchmark for everything you publish from now on.
Yep.
The question is no longer that old metric we all used to chase. Can this rank on Google?
Right.
The question that matters now is this. Would someone trust this immediately after a storm?
And that new benchmark trust, built through documented resilience and verifiable proof, it applies so far beyond just real estate. We'd encourage you to think about how that idea informs credibility for any local industry that relies on instant trust in a crisis-prone, digitally advanced world.
You have to prove you showed up when it mattered most.
And you have to prove it visually.
That is the deep dive for today. Go forth and document your reality.